uncommon dishwasher problem. So guys, hold off on questions till near the end so that we can get through this quickly, because we need to get you on into your CBPs and studying for your assessments and on the ranges of dishwashers, okay? So we'll be able to identify all these. Prepare for troubleshooting. Problem 1, dishwasher will not turn on, dishwasher is leaking, dishwasher are not drying, dishwashers won't drain, dishwashers are not being cleaned, or dishes are not being cleaned, and then of course a quick wrap up. Prepare to troubleshooting. Always, what we gotta have first, PPE, unplug the appliance, and turn off the water. Now when you're going in to turn off the water, if you can't reach under there and it turns real easy, you don't put pliers or anything on it, because you could break the water valve underneath. If it's too hard to turn, just with a quick turn from your hand, talk to the customer, tell them that they need to get a plumber out there to get that fixed so that you can actually shut off the appliance, and talk with your coach to reschedule. Okay, another thing we want to point out is when it says unplug the dishwasher, if it's not plugged in, if it's hardwired in, and there's not enough cord for you to pull that dishwasher out to work on it. And the second thing is, if the customer doesn't know where their breaker is to shut that off, again, you're gonna have to get them to get an electrician out there to get that fixed so we can plug it in and out for your safety.
Are we allowed to use a extension cord just to lengthen that hardwire connection so we can work on it in their kitchen?
No, we don't do anything with their electrical. If it's hardwired in, that's considered part of their electrical, and we can't do that. Okay? So anything that's considered their electrical, if it becomes hardwired to the unit, don't touch it, okay? Because we don't want to get blamed for something going wrong or shorting out something back into their panel or anything like that, okay? So if it's not long enough to pull out to work on,
It seldom is.
it's on them, they need to get that fixed. Because if you read the owner's manual, it's going to tell you that it needs to be plugged in to the grounded outlet, okay? So you ought to be aware of that when it comes to doing these appliances. Okay, have the right tools on hand. Use your tech sheets. So any of your tech manuals and stuff to follow on these, you're going to be able to follow those and do what you need to do with that piece of that appliance. Can't talk this morning. So be prepared, be ready for that. Another thing I would say that's part of your tools when it comes to dishwashers, always have your shop vac, a blanket, and several towels around, okay? We want to make sure that we're going to keep that area clean, dry, and looking good for the customer while you're in there. So let's begin, okay? The dishwasher with hidden controls. When you finish loading the dishwasher, you selected the cycle, started the press the start button on the light. All the lights on the touchpad were working, but he did not hear anything that indicated the cycle had begun. Okay? So these are your troubleshooting steps. You're going to check the power, the voltage coming to the dishwasher. Check the plug, circuit breaker, or fuse box. Again, if it's any problem with these right here, that's on the customer. They need to take care of it. Okay? You're going to check the door switch, or the door latches, which most of them will be at the top. You're going to check the dishwasher switch and timer, okay? So most of these that have the hidden on top, when you close the door, you can't see it. A lot of their control boards are down here at the bottom. You can access those control boards and actually troubleshoot from the control board. So when you get into a situation like this where it may be an electrical issue or something, it may be from the control board, which will be down here. But you'll get to noticing where the different control boards and different locations are on these particular units. Some of those control boards may be right underneath the control panel, right up here and on top of the door. Okay? Faulty door latch, faulty timer, or electronic control. That's going to be a probable cause for the dishwasher won't start. Okay? So Sandra's floor is covered with water. Okay, she finished the cycle, but the surrounding area is flooded. So what are some of the things we can see on this? Okay, you're going to check for the water inlet valve. You're going to check the spray arm. okay? If it turns on, is it split? Any of the holes blocked with debris? So, the spray arm inside, of course, it's gonna be down here and one up top. Is it turning, is it moving? We actually got some of these dishwashers over here on the side that actually you can put plastic plates over and you can actually see the operation of them and see how they're running so that you can see what it does. Is it split? Sometimes you got a tube that goes up the back that may be split and maybe just shooting water out in the middle and not turning. Any of the holes blocked with debris. A lot of times you get calcium, iron, sand, or anything else that might block the holes in here so it's not actually spraying the water up correctly. So you might want to check that out and see if that's part of the problem. Check the pump and the pump seal. Are they working properly? So down here, you're going to have a sump pump that takes that water, it's going to pick it up, it's going to spray it up, and continue to cycle until it gets the dishes clean. If that's not working correctly, or you got a seal that's leaking out from the bottom and coming out from the dishwasher, it's another thing that you need to look for. You need to check the drain hoses or any of the other hoses underneath for cracks or damage. Is the dishwasher level? Sometimes if the dishwasher's not level, it's leaning forward, the door gasket's going to leak a little bit, so you need to watch for that. Yeah, Linda.
I have a question, Jack. What's a great way to tell if the spray arms are turning if you don't have that clear window glass?
Who's got an answer for it?
To tell us if they're turning,
Yeah.
you could put it just a piece of tape on one side, start it off, and then you'll see that it actually moved.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you just see where it's placed at, and if you turn it on, if it's moved at all.
Okay, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Real easy to do. Line up all your spray arms. Some dishwashers, you have 3 spray arms. Line them all to point at you. And then go ahead and start your dishwasher. And then let it run for a few seconds, and then if you open it up, they should all have moved. And they should likely, they're not in the same spot. That's a real easy way to check that the spray arms are turning. Because if you don't have enough water pressure, your bottom one might be turning and your top one might not be, because that water's got to get up that supply tube. Or again, like the obstructions, things in the holes on your spray arms. You'll find a lot of food product caught in there. Chicken bones are the best candidate that get caught in those holes.
It's about mess. Sorry about that, Linda. Another thing that's common on these, if you find a water leak that's coming out from underneath, you won't find it until it's actually calling for water. But I have seen on Samsung products where the water valve actually has a little split in the solenoid, that when it calls for water, it starts dripping out. A lot of times it'll hit that water sensor underneath long before it does anything else. And of course, it's going to cause a problem. It's going to shut it all down for you. Two things to look for if you have a water problem in these dishwashers. Okay, so damage to the water inlet valve, which is what I was telling you. Defective pump and pump seal, faulty door gasket, and damaged drain hoses. What is the loop for in your drain hoses, guys? What is that? So it doesn't siphon back, right? So you have to have your loop before it goes into your drain. And that's to keep the siphoning effect from happening. Okay, same thing with your washing machine. You put it up into your drain and it only goes about 6 inches deep. You don't put it all the way down in there because of what? Because of siphoning, correct? So y'all be aware of that when you get ready to look for this. If it doesn't have that loop in there, what are you gonna see? Is it gonna properly drain? No. Okay, and some of these do have check valves in the hoses, so when it pushes back against it, it's gonna cause a double pressure effect, and you're gonna start seeing water. As it tries to force past it, start seeing water shoot up out of the garbage disposal. So that's kind of a unique happening that you can see, but that's probably a problem because they didn't put that little air brake in that hose when they installed it. Okay? Jake began to unload the dishwasher and noticed that his dishes were cold and wet. The dishes were also slippery. Okay? So he spends 20 minutes, rinsing his dishes and drying them. Okay? You can check the heating element, but that may not be the problem. What type of temperature do you have to have coming in for your water temp on washing your dishes? At least 120 degrees, right? If you don't have 120 degrees, that heating element's never going to get that water temp up to what you need, okay? It's only designed to raise that water temp anywhere from 30 to 40 degrees. And the reason for that is so that it activates the bleach properly when it's in the dishwasher.
How's that affect drying?
It will affect drying because those dishes are not hot to dry. Most of the time nowadays, the heater's not in there to dry the dishes. It's actually the heat, the ambient heat and ambient process in there that causes it to dry the dishes, along with a dry aid of some sort. Okay, like, yeah, bro.
Yeah, Star has gotten more and more to raise the energy standards of dishwashers. A lot of the heating elements have been taken out, so the heating element might be there, you don't have the loop down at the bottom, it's just there to heat the hot water. Think of getting out of the shower this morning and your mirror fogs up. Hot wants to go to cold. So that last rinse is designed to superheat those dishes to get them hot, so that when the air comes in, that moisture can then go and condense and be pumped out. So, condensation dry versus evaporative dry. Like when you got out of the shower and your skin felt cold. That's evaporative dry. That's gonna help things like plastics get dry. Okay?
Thanks, Brian. Okay, you can check the thermostat. You can check the vent. Is it opening properly? And you can check the vent fan motor. Now, on these vents, some of these don't have a vent fan motor. Some of them just automatically open the door about that far to actually vent out that extra steam and heat for the drying process. Some of them have a vent in the door. Some of them have a vent that has a trough that goes up off the side. So you just need to know which type of vent that you have on these. The thermostat will tell you what your water temp is and whether it's going to work properly. But again, your dishes are going to have a hard time drying if you don't use some sort of jet dry or something like that, okay? One sort of dry aid or another. So faulty vent or vent fan motor, burnout heating element. Again, the heating elements do not dry the dishes any longer. So if it's a newer model of a dishwasher, the heating element's not there for that. It's just basically to heat up the water for your bleach process of your wash. And then a faulty thermostat. Okay? Notice that his dishes wasn't making a typical draining sound, and it makes at the end of each cycle. He opens the dishwasher and finds a pool of water set in the basin. Okay, so what are the things you're going to check? Is your garbage disposal, your drain hose and filter, are they dirty or clogged? Now, when it comes to the garbage disposal, who knows what's in a garbage disposal that can keep it from draining? A little knockout plug, right? A lot of homeowners grab a brand new garbage disposal, they go install it, they stick their hose back up there, and guess what they didn't do? They didn't read their instructions and knock out the knockout plug, and now their dishwasher's not draining.
It'd be on a brand new install. Yeah.
Huh?
It's usually on a brand new install.
Sometimes on a brand new install, or if they replace it, yes. And sometimes plumbers forget about those little knockout plugs. I've had to go in behind plenty of plumbers that installed a garbage disposal, hooked everything up, guess what? No drain, because they didn't knock out the knockout plug. Now, are you to knock out that knockout plug? No.
You can't even knock it out.
Nope, that's not on you.
You get the customer to run.
You gotta get the customer to do it, or get the installer, whoever installed it, to come out and fix that problem for them. Because again, that's not attached to the dishwasher, that's not your responsibility, you don't need to be doing it. Okay, because if you go in there and hit that wrong or something, and you split that tube up there and they get a leak every time it goes in the drain, that falls back on you for liability and back on the company, so don't do that, okay? If it's something on their house, something attached to their home, that's on them to get fixed, okay? Whoever the installer was should come out and fix that for free because they forgot to do it. If they did it themselves, then that's on them to fix their own, okay? So make sure that you're looking for that knockout plug. That's gonna be one of the problems you're going to find. Okay, check the assembly of the check valve. So on your drain side, like I said, a lot of you are gonna have a check valve, either from backflowing or siphoning. That could be stuck. I've actually seen those stuck. It's gonna cause a drain issue, okay? You're gonna check the drain pump and motor, okay? A lot of times you can get debris in that motor. It's gonna stop that impeller in there from turning. If that's happening, you can check that.
Some got blades in them.
That's what the impeller is. Okay? Check the pump solenoid. Check for any obstruction, and then check the air gap. Of course, that air gap is that loop, okay? It comes up, okay? So these are things that you're going to need to check when it comes to looking at your drain line. Also, that strainer inside. Some of them have a micron strainer on top and then an actual particle strainer underneath it. How many people know how to pull that out of their dishwasher and clean? I've actually pulled those out. They're literally 3/4 full of lettuce, tomato, all sorts of other junk in there that really stinks really loud. My dishwasher smells, I can't get rid of the smell. They spit out the strainer every once in a while, wash it down, take a little fine nylon brush and clean it all out real good. Put it back in, it'll probably solve a lot of their smell issues and stuff within that dishwasher. So these are things you need to check, but then also make sure that you're doing due diligence when you're checking these and checking out the pump and make sure everything's good to go there. Okay? So you got improperly working pump, clogged drain hose, clogged house drain line, clogged air gap. And most of the time, the clogged house drain line is going to be that little knockout plug in your garbage disposal.
Hey, Johnny, if I may add, you're reaching in to think that there could be broken glass in there.
There could be broken glass in there, so make sure you wear your cut-proof gloves and stuff. PPE, we can't talk enough about PPE, guys. There's a lot of things that can get you, and broken glass is one of them. Okay? Everything seems to be working fine with Cynthia's dishwasher, but the last few cycles, she noticed that some of her dishes are still greasy and have scrap of food on them. So let's talk about some of the problems on these, okay? Again, check the spray arms, the gaskets, the filters for debris. A lot of times if they're not cleaning their dishwasher properly, those spray arms are going to be filled with calcium. They're going to be filled with grime, sand, food particles. And those dishwasher cleaners that they make today, like Dishwasher Magic and of course the Finish dishwasher cleaner, are designed just for part of that right there. It'll dissolve that food, it'll clean out the grease. If you're using the Finish, it actually has a surfactant in there to remove the grease. And it'll also break down all those calcium particles and other metals and coat dissolved solids in that water to help clean those out and make them work better. So be aware of what you got out there to help clean that, things that you can suggest to the customer to do that with. Again, there's the ones that need to clean that, but that stuff is out there to help their dishwasher work correctly. And I always recommend that they go with that about every 30 days, every 30 to 45 days to make sure they clean out their dishwasher. So you check the spray arms. Can they move freely? You go in and you try to turn the spray arm with your fingers and you're having to really force it around. There may be a lot of sand and stuff down in that spray arm and it's not going to turn and wash correctly anyway. So sometimes it takes a replacement to do that. Check the detergent. Is it expired? A lot of people that use the powdered detergent, what happens when they pull that out of the box? That box lid is left open. Anybody ever seen it get out in great big huge clumps? When they pull it out, they break it up, they go ahead and put it in there and try to use it. Is that detergent going to be effective?
Nope.
Absolutely not, because it's already activated, so the cleaning properties of that detergent is gone. Same thing with the pods. If they don't get the lid down on those pods and everything, if you ever picked up a pod that's just solid as a rock, is it going to dissolve correctly? Is it going to clean? No, it's not. So again, you've got to know what type of detergent they're using, whether they're using it correctly, and whether it's out of date or gone bad because they haven't used it in the amount of time that they needed to. It's all solid and rocky. okay? Check the water temperature. Make sure it's above 120 degrees Fahrenheit. You go into a customer's home, they put their dishes in, they slam the door, they turn it on, they walk away. They're gonna probably clean their dishes. Not everybody has a recirc pump where they get instant hot water there, they have an instant hot water underneath, right?
They run the faucet.
Yeah, they need to run the faucet to get the hot water actually to the faucet, so that it goes over to the dishwasher, they have their 120 degrees. Now, again, those instant hot water tanks and everything underneath the sink, some of people turn those up to 150 to 180 degrees. Is that gonna work correctly? No, the water's gonna be actually too hot. Okay, 120 degrees is what your surfactants and soaps actually break down at and actually wash best at. That's why it's done that way. When you have a pot or you have something that has a bleach cycle in it, and it heats up to that 150 degrees to activate that bleach, that's what it's designed to do. That bleach is not for the stains and stuff, it's not for the sanitary cycle or anything else. That actually removes the stains and stuff. For the enzymes and the soap and the surfactants in there are to break down the food and to remove the food particles and stuff. The bleach is just there to take out the stains and things, make it look nice and pretty for you. Okay? Again, one of the things that you're going to look for when you get into these cycles and start looking into this troubleshooting is you're going to start looking for water softness and water hardness. Okay? All these have what they call a turbidity sensor in them. Turbidity looks at the cloudiness, the hardness, and the dirtiness of the water. If your water's too hard, the turbidity sensor may sense the hardness of that water and continue to fill and drain until it says it's got soft enough water to clean with. If you get your water too soft, you're gonna have another issue. Anybody ever seen a cloudy glass? It looks like a soap stain or something is on it. Well, if somebody has a water softener and they're sitting there at 25 parts per million, it's gonna start cleaning that glass. It's gonna cause what they call etching. If you can't take a rag with a little bit of vinegar and wipe that cloudiness out of that glass, guess what? It's etching. Your water is too soft. Whether it's for an ice maker, a dishwasher, your washing machine, if your water is too soft, it's going to cause problems. You need a minimum of 150 parts per million to make your ice solid. That way you don't get that real soft ice that can break up and melt really quick. Okay, same thing on your dishwasher. If it's too soft, it's going to be looking for metals. If your water's looking for metals, it's going to pull it right out of that glass. And that glass is going to get etched, and you're never, ever going to get that glass clean again. You're going to have to replace it. So if you go in and they have a water softener deal on there, and a lot of people like to put that way down at 25 to 35 parts per million, that's way too soft. You need to instruct them to go ahead and set it up about 150 parts per million. If you've ever gone into somebody's house that has 25 parts per million of water softener, and you take a shower, and you keep sitting there trying to rinse off the soap, you're never gonna get the soap off. You're gonna have that slimy film on you all the time. That water's too soft. It takes some of those solids in that water to make the water work correctly. So make sure that you are following that. You can recommend to them, no, you need to put this about 150 parts per million. It'll clean those dishes just fine. It won't cause the etching, won't cause any other problems. So the water could be too hard or the water could be too soft. If it's too hard, you can recommend a tri-filter system. Have them call somebody to get a tri-filter system or water softener system on their home that they can use, but again, don't get it too soft. I like the tri-filter systems because it'll pull out a lot of the total dissolved solids, a lot of the odor and stuff out of it. It'll pull everything down to 1 micron, which leaves you about 400 parts per million. That's just perfect for what you need. So anywhere from 150 to 750 parts per million is okay. Anything over that, the turbidity sensor is going to have a problem. Anything below that, you're going to have an etching problem. Does everybody understand that on the water softness and hardness part of it?
Right?
Yeah.
The other side of that is called hard water filter.
Yes.
When you have too much calcium or too much deposits in your water, and you hold that glass up to a light and it looks like a cloud, that is called hard water filming. The etching, you'll kind of get like a rainbow effect. You actually scratch and damage the glass, as John said. But the other side of that is the hard water filming. That can be removed. That can come off of there if you use vinegar, tang, some kind of citric acid, those types of things will remove hard water filming from your glasses and stemless. So that's the other side of it. So when you're talking about dishwashers, too much or too little of anything is not good. It's gotta be just right, as they say.
Absolutely, thanks, Rick. So, okay, so dirty dishwater, make sure again, guys, check those strainers. A lot of people don't know about them. You pull out the little top plate, which is a micron strainer, and then the screen underneath. A lot of people don't even know the screen's under there. They'll wipe down that top plate, but they never pulled it up to see what's under there. And that's a lot of times, that's what I find when I walk into the customer's home and they say my dishes aren't cleaning properly. They've never, ever, ever cleaned that strainer. Okay? Look for mineral buildup, which, like we were talking about on hard water, that mineral buildup's going to be really prevalent in there. You get all that white deposit inside the dishwasher around them, okay? That white deposit is part of the mineral buildup. Those dishwasher cleaners will actually remove that, make it look brand new inside. You go in,